in the recording, and maybe just turn your camera off. Cool. I see we have on-chain dinos, a lot of great, amazing projects here. I'm really excited.
GM.
I guess while we wait, if anyone has any specific questions that they want to put into the chat, and we can try to address as we progress through what we've got planned. Maybe we can try to address that specifically towards the end, as to not interrupt the flow of the deck. 36 people, wow, almost double what I expected. And
Carlos, appreciate it.
Oh, it was a team effort. It was a team effort for sure. Breaches and I definitely collabed on this. So I guess I'll start by just saying that the reason why we put this together is because I figured that some people might need help through this process. And I'm an expert in this. You know, I know everything there is to know about the Optimism grants, the procedures. So I thought I could help you all walk through this and achieve success in your grant application. Actually, I'm joking. My last grant application got rejected, so it's actually more like a support group. So I'm hoping that we can help each other achieve success in this application process. Breaches is actually the one that has the most experience here. So I actually summoned her expertise because I thought it would be more it would align you better towards success. It would point you in a better direction than I could on my own.
No, but you learn a lot from failure. I'm pretty sure after the rejection, you learn a lot of things, and now your application are much better. So you have to take the good thing from that.
I hope it's kind of like when you work in something like I heard this reference like electricians, people that work as electricians, they have like the worst electrical setup at home. They're like running raw wires through under their carpets, you know, like the worst fire code violations. Okay, cool. So I think we can get started. I will let Breaches introduce herself and her experience, and then kind of jump into the deck.
Okay.
Oh, and the one thing before that is that this is going to immediately transition to the Grant Council office hours. So if you want to go from here to that and then just have like as much preparation as you can have for this, that would be very helpful for you as well.
Yeah, perfect. So I'm Breaches. I'm really involved in Optimism governance. I'm a delegate, I'm a badge holder, governor, and I am the anti-capture commission lead. I'm really, really involved in the governance processes, so that's why I am here. Let me share my screen so Carlos can introduce himself too. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yep.
Perfect. So welcome, Carlos.
Yeah, so this is both of our social media handles. So if you want to follow us on Twitter there, that would be great. I think both of us are just consistently posting things that are relevant to the Optimism and Superchain ecosystem. So if you want to stay up to date with the things that we're putting up there, that's a great way to do so. And I am Carlos Melgar. I am also involved in the ecosystem. I have recently decided to become a delegate. Before I was delegating to other people like Breaches. But now I'm a stay-at-home Chad because I got laid off. So if you got laid off, pivot to Retro PGF. It's my advice to you. And I'm also an ambassador to other teams and organizations like Kudasai Japan, which is the biggest crypto community in Japan, and APAC DAO, which is a DAO that is focused on creating more crypto education and adoption throughout Asia. And overall, I'm a public goods maxi. So that's me.
Yay, perfect. So I introduced myself. I forgot to mention that I'm a co-founder of Ethereum Mexico. That's why I made Optimism, because we were recipients from RetroPGF2, and that's why I learned from Optimism and why I become like super involved in the governance. Okay, people is still joining, so let's start. Um, Basically, what I want to do first is a brief overview of Optimism grants. Like, there is a huge process behind this program, because there is like a budget, an approval, voting. So there is a lot of things happening before you are able to apply, and it's like kind of important to know where it comes from, because there is a lot of basics about it. So first, we are in season 5. When I'm talking about season, I'm talking about time period. So the field half of this year is season 5, and the second half of this year will be season 4. Why is important to know this? Because in season 4, we will have another time like processes like mission requests, budget approvals. We will have more rounds of Optimism grants. So it's important to know that there is other opportunity too. Also, every season, the Optimist governance have objectives. The intents are objectives, like really specific stuff that we want to achieve. And the first thing is technical decentralization. That is the highest priority of the collective. And basically, you can find 2 opportunities there. I will talk more about it later, but basically, foundation mission request and delegation mission request. The intent 2 is about grow the super chain. Here is important to know one thing. From the governance fund, that is where the funding for grants is coming, there is tiny letters that say that this is only focused in stuff that is on OP mainnet, that is being deployed on OP mainnet. So this is important to know. The third intent is improve the customer experience. Here I'm only mentioning delegate mission requests, because I didn't found any foundation mission request that is related to it. Anyway, like, I think Carlos will speak more about it, but there is also rounds of retro PGF, and that is really interesting. And the intent number 4 is governance accessibility. This is being mentioned again. Like, this was an intent for season 4 too, and it's really important. So you will find foundation mission request and delegation mission request. And also for retro PGF 3, this was one of the categories that RetroPGF had. So here, I will send you this presentation in the chat, but here you can find like all the description about the intents of this season. Next season, like, there will be maybe other intents, or like they will open like some of the design of these intents to create some basic community feedback. Okay, I previously mentioned mission requests, and missions are basically like specific initiatives that have to achieve one of the intents. That's why you saw a lot of delegate mission requests and foundation mission requests. The difference is that the foundation mission request is coming from the partner fund, and the foundation like is seeing all the process directly with the applicants. Like, they design the mission requests, they follow up all the applications, and they decide who will develop these missions. There is other kind of mission requests that are the delegate mission requests. They are coming from the governance fund, and this one has a specific process. For example, we approve a budget after we create this mission request. The top 100 delegates create this mission request, got approvals. After the approvals, like, we vote about it. So the mission requests that passed all the processes are the missions that are open to apply right now. Here, I'm leaving you another link to know more about missions. This is the second iteration of missions, like we start with this on season 4. And here in the GitHub logo, there is a link where you can find all the mission requests that are open. There is like foundation mission requests, delegate mission requests. There is ideas of stuff that you can develop to get retro PGF. And like basically you can find like all the opportunities in that GitHub. Grants. Grants basically born as a mission request too are part of the governance fund. And that's why they are specific like for projects that are being deployed on Optimism mainnet. That's why I mentioned this previously. So basically there is two kinds and they work a little bit different. The first one is builder grants. The goal is to maximize the number of builders building projects deploying on mainnet. And this has like a specification on the grant policies, and is that this one has a lock of 1 year. You can read more about like the token lock explainer, where you can understand why it's locked for 1 year. And there is another kind that is growth and experiments. This one wants to maximize the number of users interacting with applications of Optimism. They work differently because the OP is expected that the end users receive it directly. So there is 40% upfront and 60% upon completion. Like you cannot use growth or experiments grants to pay operations, for example. There is an option to do a mix of both, like one part like for operations in the builder side and one part on growth experiments for the users. You can see, and I recommend you to check also the builder grant and growth grant from past cycles, so you can see some examples of the projects that succeed. Also, here is the description of the grant policies, like the lock of 1 year and the 40-60 rule. I want to mention something really important, and is that in Optimism, we have something called Grants Council. This Grants Council born on the token house and is serving the token house. Basically, we are delegating them the decisions because it's really difficult, like if the token house grows a lot, it's really difficult like get agreements. So basically, the Grants Council in this case is the group of people who handle all the applications. Like they receive the applications, they provide feedback, and they select the applicants who will develop these missions and grants. This season, they are like checking the missions and the grant. In the past season, they only check the grants. So there is 3 subcommittees. In builders, there is 5 reviewers. In growth, there is 5 reviewers. And in milestones and metrics, there is 3. This started in governance in the season 3, so 1.5 years ago, and is a persistent council of the collective. This is really important to mention because they are not a new group. So they are like, I want to say like, they are really careful with their time. Like try to be like just as a mix between completeness and like short or consistency. Because for example, in the first wave, this season, they received more than 300 applications. So yeah, that is more than the total of applications that they received in the 3 cycles that they had in the season 4. So they are receiving a bunch of applications, like they are super careful selecting the themes, like they have high standards. And that's why we decide to have this intro to grants before their call, because you will have like time to do questions to them. Right now, we're showing you 2 kind of perspectives, like the perspective from someone who is in the governance as me and who sees like all the processes behind these programs. There is the perspective of someone who applies as an applicant. And there is one perspective that we are missing, and it's really important, but they are really, really, really busy right now, and it's the Grants Council. So put attention there. They have their own platform, they have their own processes, they have like their rubrics, they have their own structure, their calendar, everything. So it's important to know that. Here, where you can find them. Previously, I had the forum, but the truth is that the forum was more for the process before the applications. The forum was more like when we was providing feedback for the budget of all the season, when we was providing feedback for the mission requests. And right now that the final mission requests are ready to apply, and the grants will be open, there is 4 places where you can find them. First, the office hours. You can find them on the governance calendar. Here is the link. There is the GitHub, where you can find all the mission requests that I told you before, and any other opportunity. They have their own platform. They use Chambers. Like if you apply, you will apply on Chambers. If a grants council has some feedback for you, they will contact you on Chambers. So this is really important to know. Sometimes people enter like to the forum asking for stuff really related to grants, and it's difficult to follow up there. And the third place is Discord. They answer really fast. Like there is a channel that is called Mission Grants. And basically, that is the best place if you have a question for them. They answer really fast. And also, I will add one place, and is that they have Twitter. They have Twitter for grants that is called Optimism Grants. And you can see there, like they publish like when they are having office hours, or when they are like opening an application round. You can follow them there too. And right now, we are in the second round of the grants. Like we are in season 4. We already had the first round of grants, and the second round is happening this week. So the deadline for it is March 27th, but there are some details about it. I don't know if you want to talk about it, Carlos. Like that you should not apply in the last minute. They have points against the people who apply in the last minute. So try to do it with time. I recommend you to take like a lot of time to prepare your application. As I say, they are not a new theme that will select anything that is there. Like they have really high standards. So you will have to take like 4 hours to prepare a really good application project. It's really sad, like when you know a really good project but a really shitty application, and that happens a lot. So like you have to prepare your application. Yes, like Carlos. Don't be like Carlos. No, I'm joking. So yeah, prepare your application right now. You are in the perfect time right now. Like if you have any questions right now, go to the office hours. Start your application and apply on March 14th. Like that is my best recommendation. You can find the calendar of the Grants Council here. After, there is a review period where basically the Grants Council do 2 things, like select the ones that have the minimum standards and prepare like a preliminary roundup of grants. So this is ready for the round first, or for the first round. I will show you later the database. And basically, after that, there is the decision period, where the Grants Council publish a roundup with the final grant decisions. And the deadline for it is May 7th. So it will take like a few months, all this process. And here I want to show you something really important, that is the projects who apply to a mission or a grant, and the amount of budget that is being used. So for example, here is the intent 1 that I told you about, technical decentralization. Here, for example, we will see that this fault-proof mission will open again. because the Grants Council declined the only proposal that they have. So this will be open again. You can find more information on GitHub. And if you want more information about a mission request, there is the forum. Like this mission request born in the forum, so you can find a lot of feedback from people that is interested on this on the forum. So you can see here, like here, there's a crazy amount of builder grants. There is a budget of 1.5 million. So there is not budget left, except if they decline a lot of these mission requests and grants. So let me send you the presentation so you can have all the links. I love to put links on my presentations because I think it's helpful for the people that is putting a lot of attention. Okay. So let's continue. Okay. Okay, and now it's your time to shine, Carlos.
Amazing. So thank you so much, Regis. I think that was a very thorough explanation of the grants procedures. I wanted to contribute by just giving some tips. You kind of alluded to this earlier, right? Looking back at previous success stories, sometimes when you get into these applications, it becomes really convoluted, especially if you're interacting across different DAOs. There's always different procedures that nothing's really standardized across the industry. So in this case, I found it really helpful when I've assisted others to show them examples of successful applications. And once you're able to see different versions of that, you're able to kind of replicate that or create a framework in your head and then kind of copy pasta that kind of formatting over to your application, right? So these are here on the right under growth and builders. These are links as well where you see the name. You can click on those links and it'll open those project applications and you can kind of see the formatting that it went into, but also very important, like Breaches mentioned earlier, look at the attention to detail that these projects put into their application, right? You can really see that it wasn't like 20-minute job just trying to rush it in. It was really well thought out. It was really organized, and this is what positioned them for success in this round, right? And these are also examples with varying amounts of funding requested and attained. So I just felt like that was a really good way of you to get in there and kind of see what's happening with those previous applications. And they're also really great examples of, I was looking for examples that are relevant to some of the projects that I know are here, right? So Solidity Survivor, for example, it's like a Solidity boot camp, right? And the idea there is that they're creating more builders in the ecosystem, right? Then there's a wallet, and they have an incentive mechanism for interacting with their wallet, and the users would get OP rewarded. I think it was 1,000 OP that they were looking to distribute to the end users. So this is a really great example of, if you're building a play to earn game, right? Or if you're building some kind of project that needs to attract more users and you can bake in an incentive model for that, this is a great way to accomplish that. Okay, we can go to the next one. And okay, milestones I think that's probably one of the most common mistakes that applicants have been making here, because they don't really understand the difference between critical and benchmark. And I asked this during the last office hours. So, just going back to, I'm not an expert, I'm just learning in public along with you, and I'm trying to forward those learnings. So I also had to learn what that was, right? So critical milestones, it's specific progress that you have to make to ensure that this is a successful mission application, right? So some examples of that are deploying, right? Like deploying on testnet, deploying on mainnet, right? Those are examples of like actually making tangible progress towards the goal of your mission. And then benchmark are once you've deployed, you had, it's kind of like a number that you aspire to achieve, right? So like I hope this platform gets 100 users, 500 users, right? And then those examples that were highlighted in the previous slide, those show you exactly what those look like. So you get a way better understanding by looking at those than you could potentially by listening to me talk about it, right? Just based on whatever your learning style is. So that's really important. And that's something that if you want to jump into the office hours that's coming up and ask for like a further explanation, you can go in there and say, hey, man, Carlos tried to explain this to me and he was really bad at it. Can you try again? and then you can just confirm I gave you the right information for that, right? It's cool. So this is also blob themed to go along with the week's theme. Cool. Can we jump to the next one? And I know we don't like filling out forms, so this form is threatening you.
Fuck you.
This blob here is threatening you to fill it out. Okay. The blob said, if you don't fill out the form, your gas fees are not going to go down. They might go up. Okay. So, but actually, I think that the way that we've structured this form is it's to gather data, gather insights about who you are, what you're building, but also help us identify how to best support you moving forward, right? Like beyond just this grant application. If there's something that we can identify that could be useful based on your response as far as creating relationships within the Superchain ecosystem, maybe figuring out how to provide more marketing or visibility support for you, I think this is going to be very helpful for us to accomplish that. And we won't be able to do that ourselves. Potentially, we'll just connect you to the people who that request or that need is relevant to, right? So make sure you fill that out. And also there is a slot for your wallet address. And I wanted to structure this workshop in a way that allows you as a participant, specifically if you're doing something related to education or community building, you can start kind of grasping the idea of measuring your impact on chain, because this is something that is very important as future iterations of Retro PGF develops. It's more, I think a few renditions ago, it was common to just say like, okay, I have things on Twitter and I have, this, but now they're really emphasizing impact on chain, right? So these are great examples, the registration NFT, the attestations for participating in this. So once you participate, once you fill out your form and you have all these, we have all these wallet addresses, we'll be able to attest that you actually participated through here. And then we'll be able to follow up and see how many of these participants actually completed a grant application, right? So that helps us put together kind of a string of impact that came from this. So I'm hoping you can take that as an example. And also, as Brichis mentioned earlier, this is a really cool way, this grant process specifically, it's a really cool way of layering the value that you're creating in the ecosystem, because by accessing the growth grant that allows your project, your platform, your community to be incentivized with OP tokens, then you're continuously creating value, which you can then report for Retro PGF. And now you're layering the opportunities for funding through the ecosystem, right? So that's also, we were hoping to provide you information to make this process a little easier to digest and accomplish, but also give you ideas of like other ways that you can connect dots within the ecosystem and potentially benefit and then continue growing within the super chain and specifically Optimism, because that's what these grants are for OP mainnet. So I think we're pretty good now. If maybe we open it up for questions or some suggestions, or
There is
we
already
can...
some questions
Okay, cool.
that I took from the chat. So the first one says, does someone need to have a project already running to be eligible for this opportunity? I will say no, but I will open Chambers. And I will show you that that can give you a lot of benefits or more opportunities, because if we see, okay, let's see one that is not declined. If we see balancer, for example, there is one part that talks about the theme and the experience and why they are the best team to develop this project. So of course, like a project that has like really good metrics, a lot of impact, like will have like higher opportunities. So not necessarily, but I think there is like more opportunities for a project that has something behind. I don't know if you want to add something, Carlos.
No, I think that was a pretty good answer. What are the other questions? Can people come off mute in case they,
Okay.
or yeah, raise your hand.
Yeah, there's what if after you apply for around like the current one going on? Well, to be specific, we have an application with SoundView that we applied for, and we actually saw that there was a note that left by the reviewer, and we answered that question. But the question I have is, are we able to go back and update the actual application, or is it better just to answer that question as a comment? I mean, as a note. Like if the reviewer has a question and it gives you a hint saying, "Hey, you guys
Yeah.
are doing good to about allocating these funds to the end user," but is it an error?
So
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
so that occurred to a team that I helped with the process, and someone from the Grants Council said, "Hey, can you detail the OP token distribution strategy a little bit better, because that wasn't really as thorough as they wanted it." So it allows you to actually go and update, provide a more thorough explanation, but then you should also reply to the comment. That way that person knows that you updated, right? Because it's possible that they're so busy that they're not going to think, oh, I asked, yesterday, maybe I should go check. So it's just kind of enabling them to be able to review the revisions, right? So the answer is yes, you can update if they asked you something that they needed more clarification on, but then ping them, ensuring that they see that update.
And I want to add something, like they prefer to have a public conversation, so don't try to reach them on DMs, like reach them on the Discord channel for mission and grants, and they will answer there too, like or chambers or Discord. Is there any other question, or we can take some from the chat? Okay. Let's see. Oh, here, Lilian, take the mic.
Hey, Brigitte. Hey, Carlos. Nice to see you here. So I have a question. Will you organize calls to present our projects, the projects like a pitch deck or something like that, to receive feedback and improve our applications?
Yeah, so this is something that we considered. Bitches, we can make a Telegram group and create something like a peer support system where we can share what we're working on, share maybe the template for the application, and if anyone has the time to contribute or make revisions, we can even gamify this some way, by like measuring how people are contributing to others, and then I can figure out what kind of rewards mechanism we can create just between us. Maybe a blob shirt, the angry blob, asking you to fill out the the form. Yeah, but that's a great suggestion, Lillian, because I do believe that having another pair of eyes on the work that you're doing can be very helpful as well.
Thank you.
Diego?
Oh, gracias. Se me levantó la mano, disculpa. Gracias.
Okay, no worries. Let me see who is next. Rakshita.
Hi, Prashya. So
Hello.
my question, yes. So my question was, is there a chat group or like a Discord or something somewhere where we could probably ask questions to previous, like grant winners or others who are applying for these as well, in case we want some help along with our application process.
I don't think there is a group already with past applicants, but you can see applications of past applicants. Here, I will show you. If you enter to the forum, there is something called final roundups when my internet opens it. But cycle 13 is a good idea if you try to find some projects that looks like your project.
Am I brugged or is that Brichis?
I think she
No,
was.
she's locked up.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I just spun up this Optimism Grants peer support group. So maybe we can use this group to request some help or maybe request someone to look it over. And it would be great if we can figure out how to track like who's contributing to what. That way I can figure out how to potentially reward you for your time, just because I think that's really cool. If we can create a collaborative process for this, that would be amazing. So feel free to join. Feel free to invite anyone else that maybe didn't make it to this call, and we can get them caught up. Alex, I believe you have a question as well.
Yeah, hey Carlos, how are you?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm good. I just got back dropping the kids at school. I just had a quick question because this is on optimism, I guess. I started a project back in 2021. Just kind of soft launch organic growth, and it's based off Polygon, but the means of the program is to go support people all chains. Do I have to build onto optimism? Is that what they're kind of trying to? Is that what?
Yeah. So the mission grants are specifically for building on OP mainnet, right? And that's different from Retro PGF, which encompasses the whole super chain. So Base, Zora, Lyra, that's all of them. So this is specifically for that. But if you've already built something on other chains, my personal feeling is that it's a little bit of an advantage because you might be able to draw some of those users over to Optimism and kind of strengthen your value proposition for your application. And because you can show traction, you can show users, right? So I would definitely emphasize that you're looking to deploy that on Optimism mainnet for this grant.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure. Sangeet?
Yeah, so I just had this question about what if we want to launch our own L2 and build an application layer on top? So, like, whom should I contact for a small grant initially, with no product?
Yeah, so this is what this whole process is for, right? So the initial, like Reach has explained, the initial mission request phase is when you can say, hey, this is something that I would love to see on Optimism that isn't being done yet, right? So you kind of want to phrase it in the way that is open to everyone, because that's the goal of these mission requests, that you propose funding for something that can be anyone can apply to, right? But then also try to try to frame it in a way where your project fits perfectly, right? So now we've passed that phase. So your goal should be, how does this project fit into growth or builder? Because I think those are the only two that are going to still have some funding left to allocate. And potentially, like Richie's mentioned as well, if any projects within the other missions requests didn't get approved and there is some funding left over, then you might be able to fulfill that if it makes sense for your project. So I'll just give you an example so this becomes a little more tangible. I felt that it would be cool to see Optimism governance and Retro PGF be integrated into university courses. Right, that's something that's not happening right now. So I proposed that as a mission request, and then the voters decided, oh, that actually is a great idea. We can have funding for that. So that doesn't mean that that's my grant. That means that that mission now becomes available for anyone to apply to. So I applied, but also 10 other people can apply. And if those other 10 people have a stronger application than I do, because as we've learned today, I'm really bad at grants applications. So then they would get the funding allocated up to whatever that limit is, right? So if there's 100,000 OP allocated for that mission and there's a max of 10, so 10 different projects can apply to that. So in your case, I would say, see if your project fits into what's available now. And if it doesn't, I would just build and do it, because we've also learned that Optimism is a great ecosystem to experiment on, because you have the potential of receiving retroactive public goods funding based on what you've accomplished.
Got it. Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure. Staber? Daniela.
Hello, glad to be here. Thanks for sending me the link, Carlos. I have a question. What are the priorities? I mean, I applied for a mission, but there were several teams asking for a low amount and one team asking for the full value of the mission. Like, do you try to prioritize a larger number of teams working together in one mission, or does it depend on the quality of the application? Or I don't know, just a question, because there's a lot of teams that apply asking for less money and only one team asking for the full value. Just a question, if the priority is also like onboard new teams to work on Optimism and stuff.
That's a great question. So every mission that gets approved also has a limit per team that can apply to, right? So I've spotted that some applications made the mistake of not looking at that. And so, for example, if there's 100K total for the baseline amount, but it says only 10K maximum per project, if a project requested 100K, they're like disqualified already. But in relation to this question, something that is really cool is that it also tries to create a collaborative environment where if your project and someone else's project kind of have the same vision or the same mission, you can create an alliance, and both projects can apply for that one mission and work together. At the end of the day, you have to kind of look at this as you have to go into this with an abundance mentality and just say, okay, maybe I'm not gonna, score a year of runway or something, but at least it gets me involved. It gets me some funding. It helps me grow my reputation within the ecosystem and position me better for that next opportunity, which in this case would be Retro PGF.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because it was my first application, and I saw this spreadsheet, and I saw like money left, and was like minus 150,000. I was like, oh my god. And I saw that one. Yeah.
That's also not approved yet, right? So it says minus that amount, but it's possible that once they get rejected, there is a surplus that would allow for applicants in the second wave to jump into that mission.
Okay, yeah, and I joined the meeting like some minutes late, and this round 1, I have applied for the round 1 season 5. Well, when I will get the response, and will everything be on the Charmverse, like all the communication? To be honest, I like the term verse. It's very well explained, very nice UX. But if I got approved, I will be noticed there, notified.
Yes, exactly. So on the left-hand panel, there's an updates. So just I would advise you continuously look at that daily. Maybe look at that more often than the price of ETH right now, I would say. So just to stay in touch. I think I turned off my enable that as well. So that's where you will be notified if your application was successful or rejected.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not looking for price, Ether price right now. I'm okay with that. I trusted enough. I trusted enough to make a Ether tattoo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, good. Thank you so much. Yeah, good luck for me.
There needs to be another term beyond diamond hands. Like if you get it tattooed, it's more than diamond.
Oh, maybe so an Optimism one. Who knows?
Nice. Kingfisher, your hands up.
Yeah, thanks, Carlos. So this is Will T here. Those that don't know me, we're fairly new to the Optimism ecosystem, like in the last 6 months. So trying to learn as much as we can as fast as possible. And we've got some qualified partners who can help us with that. Since we're an educationally focused effort, part of our structure is creating unique curriculum around things in emerging technology space. So if we wanted to create like a course that would bring more users onto Optimism, where would be the best place to start? Would we, like schedule interviews with grant council members or voting members of Optimism? Just any little tidbit you can throw out there would be helpful.
No, so I don't think scheduling interviews or scheduling meetings with them is the way to go, just because they're all super busy. Like they wouldn't be able to take a meeting with 300 applicants, right? So if you're looking at creating education for to bring more people on chain, my number one tip to you is try to bring that process on chain as much as you can. So that was also one of my goals with using Deform app. This is an on chain, it's a dApp that lets you basically capture that impact that you have on chain, right? So that now you can identify that, the 1,000 users that completed your quiz aren't civils, right? Because you could do civil analysis on that, as opposed to just a Google form where no one can really verify if those are 10 users, 10 people that are filling out 1,000 forms to progress through this educational module. So that is one of the things that the collective as a whole is putting a lot more emphasis on, which actually makes sense, right? Like we're trying to bring the world on chain, and this is a good way to do that. So that would be my number one tip to you is focus on having your process be as on chain as possible. Try to implement attestations. There's a lot of other projects that are focusing on this too, so maybe create collab opportunities for that. That would be great.
Yes, I want to add something, and is that there is a community that is Optimism Fractal, and there are a community of creators on Optimism. So they have weekly calls. I never attend one because I'm not creator yet. So maybe you can check it out.
Yeah, if you could provide a link to that community, that'd be very helpful. And by the way, Bricia, I just want to say we're also connected with Monica Talan and Crypto Conexion, and we voted for you as our delegate for Optimism. So
Thank you so much. I get really excited when someone delegates to me, because community delegates are a minority. So I'm really proud of being one of them. Thank you. Mel?
Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? I'm here on Honduras right now, getting ready for ETM. So I wanted to ask two questions. The first, I've been working on some attestation stuff, and I'm probably gonna enter there. I think I put it on the chat. Maybe I missed the question answer for the office hours slot, can we just pop in into the Discord server and into the event? You don't have to register or anything, right?
No, you only have to join. Let me send you the governance
dropped it.
calendar. Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah, do the calendar, but this is the direct link to that call today. So that starts in 3 minutes. Can I get some emojis if you're gonna jump into that? It's gonna be a little bit like a flash mob. I think if they might be surprised to see a lot of us transition from here to there. That would be kind of cool. You can go into that and the whole time be like, oh, Breaches, it's so amazing, but Carlos got me really confused about this. So can you help? That would be funny.
Gotcha. And that's one. I was wondering if is anyone working on attestations, or maybe we can start something on the peer group support, so we can start generating this maybe a little app, so it's easier for everyone to generate this attestations instead of using the UX. If anyone is interested in this, I've been trying to get together a team that can help me with this. Let me know. I saw it. Saw it too late, Carlos. Saw it like on the very day, and yeah, like you said, that I wasn't going to do it in 20 minutes for 1 hour application. Didn't make sense at the moment, but for this one, if anyone is interested, or maybe we can work on something to generate these attestations and more on-chain data, let me know. And yeah, I can code it. It's just I don't have time to do all the admin stuff. But anyways, thanks.
Yeah, have you looked into EAS Ethereum attestation service?
Yeah. That's what I actually built. I can share it with the one. Oh no, we're doing some refactoring, so I cannot share it right now. I did a demo day on 2 weeks ago almost, and on the Optimism Discord, and yeah, they really liked it. So I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, if you want to like talk about it, just I think if we can just share your Twitter, right? Because I worked on this before. Yeah, if you need any help, I can just let you know.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's chat on the peer group support. Thanks.
Hey y'all, we're approaching the end of the hour, and I want to ensure that if we are gonna hop on over to the office hours, we do it at a respectful time for them, so we don't just interrupt halfway through. But I do want to wrap up by encouraging everyone here to join the governance forum. That form that I shared with you, the form app, has a requirement. It requests your username, and it's really important that you, in my opinion at least, it's really important that you participate in the governance forum, because that is where all the action happens, right? If you're participating in the governance forum, you can contribute to the way that Optimism is being shaped, right? So even if you don't have 1 million tokens delegated to you as a voter, you can contribute with your ideas, with your opinions. And this is something that I've kind of been focusing on, because I know that sometimes we feel like we are not well represented within the mechanism designed for DAOs. Based on region, based on our life experiences, based on our personal interests, whatever it is, right? So this is your opportunity to actually play a role in how that's shaped. And specifically, I have started doing a push for builders in Africa and Asia to get more involved, because there isn't as much representation as there is from North America, Europe, and Latin America. So if you fit into one of those categories, I definitely encourage you to introduce yourself in these threads that I've created. One is for Asia, and the other one is for Africa. And the people that are interacting there now are just people that I know personally, but also it would be great if you can introduce yourself, and maybe you might spot an opportunity to collab between projects. And maybe the next time the mission requests come up, you can say, hey, we're both trying to tackle the same problems in our region. Why don't we propose a mission request that the other people aren't proposing, because they don't have that context. They don't have the same challenges that we do from our personal experiences, right? So they're not going to suggest it for us without the context. So it's up to us to take responsibility and own up to that. So I definitely encourage everyone to participate in governance. Stay connected. There's some really interesting conversations. It's a great place for learning as well. I've learned a ton by participating, and it's gamified. You can track your progress, your participation through, time spent, through how much people engage with your responses, how much you're engaging to the responses. And I don't know what the governance team does with that, but I'm sure that they probably look into it every now and then and say like, okay, that's the person that's more engaged. And at the end of the day, if you're trying to grow within the Optimism ecosystem, within the super chain, this builds your reputation, right? So you're more likely to get funding opportunities by contributing consistently than just showing up like out of nowhere and saying, hey, I want 100K OP for this play to earn game or something, and I'll let Beaches close.
I think there is a hand. I think, we don't have time. But if you want to ask your question on the Telegram group, we can answer any question there, if that is okay for you. I only want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to taking this workshop, to this session. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Carlos, for the invite. It is a pleasure to collaborate with you always. And I'm really happy to see a lot of Latin American builders doing incredible things in Optimism governance. So thank you so much. Have a nice Monday. Have a nice week. Bye.
Bye. See you at the governance call with Grand Council. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ah.
Bien, Carlos. Okay.
Que les vaya bonito. Bye bye.